So this video is about the specific settings section of the Palm 10 system. Those are the settings, yes. Now, takeout food has its own settings, okay, its own configuration. So for takeout, that's it. As for dine-in, it has its own separate configuration settings. All right, so this section above is just a brief explanation to help everyone better understand the content we're discussing now. The main point to understand here is that takeout and dine-in each have their own different settings and configuration methods, so you won't get confused when operating them. That covers this part. Next, we'll continue to explain the following content. How do you handle changes to the menu? You can easily export your entire current menu system, which means you can save it directly into a convenient Excel spreadsheet file. Then, after you have finished making all your specific changes within that Excel file, you can simply import it back into the system to update everything. Within the system, before you begin the import process, you will first need to delete the old menu, and then you can proceed to import the new one. If you choose to use Excel for this entire process, it's going to be much faster. If you don't use Excel, you have to go through each dish one by one and make changes individually. But if you use Excel, for example, let's say you have a very simple case where you want to update all the dishes. By adding 50p to each one, then doing it in Excel is super easy and efficient. You can use a single straightforward command to automatically add 50p to all the prices in your spreadsheet all at once, saving you plenty of manual effort. So, you can get this simple process completed in just a few minutes. Once you have the new Excel file, you can delete the outdated old one, and then you can carefully import the new Excel file with the updated prices into the system. That's it. Down here under Others, after printing the bill, when you are at the checkout counter after printing the bill, if you choose to select this specific configuration option here, it will automatically return to this main screen. In other words, if I order a dish and print the bill here, once the printing process is complete, it will automatically redirect you back to this initial screen. If not, it will stay on the screen for that particular table. All right, so this option here is usually checked. Now, another thing to consider is after pressing Acquired, after pressing End of Shift, which means, what about here at Close Order? Yes, that is correct. This essentially means that the system will automatically return you to the main ordering screen, which provides a comprehensive overview of all table numbers in the entire restaurant premises for easier floor management. You can also choose to have the screen stay on this current interface after you click the Accept button, but usually it will return to the previous screen by default. So if you check this specific option, it will automatically go back to the main interface where you can see all the tables listed. Okay, now let's look at this auto logout function, which means it will automatically log you out. Right here, you can see the time is set to 15 seconds. All right, if you want the system to log out automatically, just check this option. Now, let's save it. It's been saved. All right, just wait here for 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, it will automatically log out. That is exactly what this feature means. This auto timer is used quite frequently in this setting because if you stay on the interface for too long, customers who are passing by might randomly tap on it, or they might see the private details of your tables. So, as you can see, it just logged out, precisely 15 seconds. Another common reason for an automatic logout is, for example, let's say there's an employee named Peter. He just placed a new order, which we'll call order number 1. Since order number 1 is being handled by him, if a second order comes in, then it needs to be handled by a different person, another employee, so that other employee will need to log in and use the second account. They'll log into the system with their own password, so you can monitor and track which table or which specific order is being handled by which server or which employee. If you don't want to use the automatic timer, you can also just click here to log out manually. This is for manual logout by clicking. All right, let's go back and take another look. This section requires that employees enter the number of people, which essentially means the total number of people who are seated at that table. I'll go ahead and save it now. Now, when I open a table, it will prompt you to enter the number of people. For example, if this table is for 4 people, you'll see it displays 4 here. If it's not 4, but actually 5 people, then it will show 5 here. Why do we need to enter the number of people sometimes? Many times it's because buffets charge per person. Also, sometimes a service fee is charged, like an additional 10% service fee, which is also calculated per person. Sometimes, if there's only one person, the service fee isn't charged. In certain situations and establishments, the service fee is only charged starting from a minimum of 2 people. If your table shows 0 guests listed here, then when you go to pay the final bill, there won't be any service fee charged to you. However, if there are 2 or more people dining together, that's exactly when the service fee will be applied to your bill. In other words, only when the total number of people reaches 2 or more will the service fee be applied to the check, right? This depends on what you actually want. If you want to charge a service fee for everyone, then you don't need to enter the number of people. This is an automatic discount, for example, if the amount exceeds a certain value. For example, if it exceeds £50, then a 10% discount will be given. This is how you set up the service fee. If you want to charge a service fee, you need to activate it by checking this box, which means the fee will be charged. Once this is done, the service fee will be automatically applied. So how much should the service fee be? You can charge 10% or 12.5%. So when should you start charging it? If this is set to 0, I just leave it as is, and the service fee will be charged for every table. But if you want to start from 2 people, if you set it to 2, then you won't charge for just one person. However, for a group of 2 or more people, you'll charge a service fee of 12.5%. Now keep in mind, if you're charging a service fee like this, it is very important to display a clear message about it. Hey, otherwise, your customers will ask why there's suddenly an extra charge on the bill. They will want to know why there's this service fee, like the 10% or so. There should be a piece of text to describe this fee, to tell customers what it is for. Usually, you just write something like service charge 10%. That's how it's done in the UK. Customers have the right not to pay it. Regardless of the situation at hand, customers can always choose not to pay the service charge. That is why many restaurants will clearly state that it is optional or voluntary. So these are the important details to keep in mind. Now, as for the process of sending messages to the kitchen, like you see here, such as hold on main courses, pause serving, or hurry up, these are important operational messages that are sent directly to the kitchen staff to help manage the flow of service. So these are actually not the messages sent to the kitchen. Okay, so please keep in mind that these messages are actually the ones we just defined earlier, specifically what exactly needs to be displayed here and what kind of message content should appear, right? This is exactly where you define all of that information. If you need to make any changes, you can easily modify the English and Chinese text right here. As for the specific information sent to the kitchen, those messages are automatically printed out for the kitchen staff in both Chinese and English. Then the kitchen will receive a physical printed slip of paper that says, for example, Table 2. Pause serving. This way, the kitchen staff will know exactly what to do, and there's no need for the wait staff to run into the kitchen every time to inform the chefs of the status.